Oh, man. Welcome back, everyone. I want to get this tie off. What's going on? It's been some time. I guess my dog didn't like that. Here. These buttons are for like the tie. And I'm not a big fan of the ties. To me, the ties are maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's an aesthetic thing. Anyways, how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? Are we back? Do we have like a, oops. How's everyone? Well, Loud Sound Epicenter is still a YouTube channel, and maybe we should stream. You know, Twitter's been such a rambunctious place. I've been neglecting the channel. So maybe we can do a little dialogue here. Maybe get into some stuff. Oh, hold on a sec. Oh, hey, what's going on here? Oh, dude, Burden just invited me for something. Imagine that. Well, let's see. I wanted to, isn't that ironic? Oh, man, I haven't been keeping up with the dissident right. R.N. McIntyre. I mean, well, I guess I kind of have in other capacities. Anyways, it's been so long. I don't even know where to start. I've been doing so much, a lot of it on Twitter. If you guys have been checking out the Twitter, maybe this is redundant. But since we have a YouTube channel, and since it seems like people have been asking me recently, I wanted to, while I got my suit on, I just came back from this function. I'm going to be graduating next week. And this was a little mini graduation because the philosophy majors they got all the professors decked out. They got some of the philosophy majors decked out, and they invite students on stage to give speeches. And so I guess I gave a little mini Ameren speech. No, not really, but I got all dressed up, and it's like, I usually don't do this. I'm going to be dressing up like this for an event next month. We can talk about that too. And so it's just like, maybe I should just do a show. You know, I feel like if I don't do it now, I'm probably going to delay it for I don't even know how long. We're in the month of May. And so much stuff has happened on Twitter. The Twitter Spaces have been beyond expectations, to paraphrase. And I guess I have responsibilities on Twitter, which interferes with writing, which interferes with Loud Sound Epicenter, the YouTube channel. So I guess if anybody remembers the January stream, I was talking about all this one crazy incident with this. There was this thing with Richard Spencer, and Paul Allen was in a space, and it was like, wow, the Twitter Spaces are getting crazy. If only there was a culture critic to explain all these archetypes. And then Dalton Clodfelter at Cozy.tv, he does a show on Twitter with Paul Allen, and I get caught up in it. And so now my YouTube channel is basically in hiatus. So I've been missing, and if you guys have been on Twitter, then I guess it's no big deal. But for those of you that are on YouTube, I guess last year I said something to the effect of, this channel is like a merge of the Twitter stuff, audience, ecosystem, and then, not that there's like a huge dissident right audience thereabouts on, well, I guess there kind of is with Dave the Distributus and people like R.N. McIntyre. But I guess what I'm saying is, I guess I never really put a lot of too much investment in the YouTube audience. You know, I get my 20-ish people. So I wasn't like super like invested, to repeat a previous word, to like keep a YouTube audience, but maybe this is a little more casual. This is like a jazz lounge. So, you know, maybe this is a little more professional. Maybe this is like the America First of the Twitter, dissident right, Zoomer friendly outlet. So anyways, I don't want to harp on some of the usual themes, you know. I've gone after the millennials, which means a couple of things. I've hinted at certain spheres, maybe some figures. And I guess if people are interested in that, there's a January YouTube video on this channel. That's, you know, I don't want to kind of harp on the same topics. But anyways, maybe you guys don't know what's been going on with me, or where things are at right now, or some of the stuff with Nick, things with Zoomers in general on Twitter. It's a very strange thing. By the way, I was supposed to give props to, what did he want me to say? My favorite Asian friend, something thereabouts. So there you go. There is the reference. Here, do we have some more? There is the reference. I love you. I just got to see you for the first time in a while. The thing about the Zoomers is they're not young anymore. The Groypers are not. I mean, on the timeline, they're pretty youthful. But gosh, man, I'm starting to feel like a millennial for other reasons, but also in terms of age. You know, so I guess I've been falling in love with a lot of the older archetypes. And I guess I've been talking to some older people, or DMing, or, you know, in some way or another, it seems like I've been talking to more, reaching out to more older folks. And maybe I'm kind of falling out of love with the Zoomers and falling in love with these people that I think I kind of resonate with more for other reasons. But anyways, this is still a Gen Z friendly channel. The Zoomers are still on their, you know, arc of dominating Twitter, dominating dissident politics, getting into the normie spheres. All the big Twitter spaces seem to be aware of a lot of the stuff that's happened with Nick being back, Groypers being effective on the timeline. I just talked to some, I guess, communists. I guess I was just speaking with, if I had to guess, they were far left radicals. I don't know about this other guy. Maybe I should rephrase that. I went on this Discord server and this person was asking me about Groypers and other things. And so maybe we can talk about some of that. Let me catch up with the chat here first, because we've been recording for a while here. I've kind of forgotten my routine a little bit, so excuse me if I'm a little awkward. I just came back from something too. Maybe I'm a little different presenting. But anyways, it's just been, you know, as a student, as a content creator, or lack thereof, on YouTube, things have just been adult, busy stuff. So, anyways, does this tell? Am I doxing myself with this? No, okay, I think we're fine. But anyways, I got confetti on my desk. Anyways, what's going on with you guys, man? How's everything? I can read chat with these things. Oh, and I got this. I got some, anyway, sorry, just, you know, there's all these gaps with this channel in general. And it's funny how, even with this one, there's so much to catch up on, and that's kind of the theme of the show. So, anyways, by the way, okay, everything's fine with the chat. Why does it say I have 100 people watching? What is going on? There's not 100 people. That can't be true. Are you guys trolling? Are you guys opening up tabs? Okay, there's probably this doesn't seem right. Anyways, whoever's doing that, you know, what's going on, man? We got Spartan. Yeah, we got Groiper. You know May's watching probably. Why are you guys messing with what's going on with the viewer count? Are you guys trying to hype me up? I mean, this channel's not really that big. Hey, great to see you. Dan, D Reverent. Just Jimmy's. Who I'm gonna meet Just Jimmy's next month, okay? I'm gonna meet Just Jimmy's and we'll probably get a pic or something, man. I wanna shake your hand. But Truth Mystery, American Elitist, and Paul W. Hall. Well, thank you guys. I don't know who's doing what this viewer thing's all about. Anyways, let me get all this. Excuse me. Excuse all the something. Should I go on Instagram too? I don't know. This is a bit much. Maybe. Can I do a quick little thing here? Oh my goodness. Well, here, sorry. Anyway, send some questions in chat. Send some questions. And hold on a sec. All right, hold on a sec here. Anyways, I've been gone for so long. Hold on a sec. What should I... do I have links on here? Oh, dude, I'm such a boomer. I'm such a boomer. Look at all this. I'm such a little boomer. Ugh. Lana? Nah. Where's the links? Oh, there's the links. Whatever. I don't even want to do this anymore. Forget about this. Forget Instagram. Okay. Jacob, what's going on, man? All right. I got my collar all messed up. Well, anyways. Well, here's the thing. There's been so much I've been doing that I haven't told you guys on YouTube. So I'm sorry if you guys have maybe known about the lore for a while, because I think I've spoken about this in some capacity on Twitter Spaces. So first of all, Dudley Newright Post. That guy is cool. That guy is base. I love that guy. We should work professionally. You know, I was chatting with some people at this little college thing, and not in any edgy capacity, because nobody should be doing that. But I was talking with some people, and I haven't really talked to these people in a while, and they were like, basically like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, you know, I've effectively, you know, I've been on Twitter and I've been checking out some of the stuff. And this one person was asking, because I mentioned some of this e-girl thing, and they were like, tell me about that. What's going on? Of course, this is going to be the preamble. I wanted to talk about Dudley Newright, but I guess I've been harping it with him too, so it's fitting. Look, here's the thing. A lot of stuff's been going on, okay? People are aware of Dime Square, maybe. People are aware that people like Filthy Armenian are putting on events, and they are who they are. They are dissident right-friendly, culture critic types, you know, Polia types. Again, we've harped on this in the January video. We don't have to revisit that entirely. However, have you guys been checking out this e-girl coin phenomenon? Now, I understand this isn't exactly academic stuff, but here's the thing. I was kind of pitching like what's been going on this certain faction of Twitter on the college campus, mind you. And they're like, so what are they doing? They've all these women are doing what exactly, basically? And it's like, well, here's the thing. They got a zine. Didn't they launch that like this week? They got events in New York. They got events possibly spreading out west. And basically what's been happening this year is Filthy Armenian, people like the Perfume Nationalist. All these guys have been mobilizing people from Twitter, putting it into IRL. And look, it's not a full endorsement. It's not to fanboy and bandwagon. But here's the thing. Conceptually, this is something that we've kind of been talking about. Twitter people taking things offline. That's kind of the dream for some people. Or that's taking counterculture on the right and making it real life, et cetera, et cetera. And when it's people like Nick, when it's AFPAC, or when it's Amren, there's been some critiques against Amren and VDare recently. Maybe that's another topic for us. Here's the thing. I may have even said this on the channel. I know that I've, not the VDare Castle, but, I'm privy to what the race realists have been up on, some of these OG alt-right types. And here's the thing. And maybe this is something that communist woman who invited me onto the show, she maybe doesn't understand this dynamic. And somebody like Angela Nagel or Catherine D, they would probably understand this. Or some of the Groypers may be open to understanding stuff like this. But here's what I'm trying to articulate. Although the dissident right is this hodgepodge, interesting thing, and I'm kind of in a weird gray area where I talk to a lot of people, which kind of makes me kind of like a Groyper, a name only to some, or kind of a strange lurker, wanderer. But here's the thing. I think what's kind of we've been up on with this channel is talking about internet politics, talking about counterculture with Gen Z. And who is that? Who's doing that and successful with it? It's a lot of these dissident right Zoomers. It's a lot of these people that are in the Nick spaces. It's a lot of people who are aware of Nick. It's people who, 20 years ago may have been, or I should say 10 years ago-ish, would have been paleo-libertarians. They would have been Rothbardians. They would have been Tea Party Republicans. And now you have this, not just paleo-conservative, but you have like these people that have gotten to the conclusion that Sam Francis got to years ago, which is anti-conservative, kind of sounding, with Dalton with the hippie aesthetic. I think he understands this. He understands this kind of on an intuitive level. Yes, this pro-Palestine thing that's been sweeping the nation, all of these protests. Look, here's the thing. I'm not a communist. I'm not a leftist. And I'm not, even though I've been kind of on a Spencerian arc, even though I've been kind of sympathetic to a lot of these Polia e-girl types, these dissident right types, I don't think it's fully changed a lot of my identity. I think a lot of my radical politics have been consistent. And I think a lot of my credentials still hold up in a sphere like the Groypers, broader dissident right. But a lot of that is confusing because a lot of us kind of stay in our little echo chambers, stay with our figures, and marginalize ourselves in this kind of, I don't know, there's probably some phrase pertaining to that, but you understand what I'm saying. Not to turn this into some long history lecture or whatever, but look, what I'm trying to say is a lot of this stuff has been happening. Filthy Armenian, Dime Square, and now you've got this, e-girl coin thing with the Bronze Age shoddy. So anyways, I was going to bring that up eventually, but also, first of all, talking about this in a college setting, like that's what we're up on. Like that's what's been going on, among other things, when the show hasn't been on. Like, I just want you to understand, dissident right politics, Twitter lore, being shared into the public, like that's Loud Sound Epicenter. That's the culture critics out there, tragic poets, if you will, out there on the front lines and doing it optically and making the Twitter thing outside of this controlled space, this marginal sphere. So anyways, just a funny little anecdote, to even talk about this in any capacity on college, that's what we're up on. Furthermore, all these things, these cliques, we'll get into some more anecdotes in a sec. A lot of it is just kind of interesting to me. I think what's happened since AFPAC 3 is there's been a big gap in a lot of the content. A lot of Zoomers watch streams. A lot of Zoomers are on the timeline, but not in a eclectic capacity, but in their own little sphere. So for someone like me, I didn't even finish the Dalton hippie thing. Excuse me. I thought I was tying that in with the e-girl coin. I was actually supposed to tie up the hippie thing. So anyways, the pro-Palestine thing, the reason I bring that up, Dalton's been talking about how he's really kind of vibing with these people, taking their shirts off, college campus revolting. the Mario Savio, if you guys know the lore about Berkeley, counterculture hippie stuff. And, maybe I'm more of a beatnik rather than a hippie. I think Jack Kerouac was effectively correct to be distant with the Allen Ginsberg faction and what became the hippie movement after the beatniks. But anyways, that's also for January video. Or no, that's January video. The Dissident Right, Filthy Armenian stuff, Polya types, that's February. So sorry about that. I'm discombobulated. Excuse me on that. Haven't done the show in a while. Haven't done the show in a while. Anyways, the hippie thing, it's kind of, isn't it kind of strange how it's all kind of lined up? Because we were talking with Thomas 777. Thomas 777 went to the Vidar Castle. Thomas 777 went to him and Jefferson Lee went to the Vidar Castle. Two people that have been on the show. Reactive May went to the Vidar. Keith Woods. Think about all the stuff that has happened in the absence of this show. I don't know where to begin. But anyways, you got all this Palestine stuff happening on campus. You got all this lore with this show. In January, we're talking about the Beatniks, Kerouac. And it's like, look, man, maybe I'm falling in love with the wrong crowd. Maybe I'm a young 24-year-old Zoomer that's clinging to millennials, like I said earlier. Maybe even clinging to the boomers because maybe they were right. They effectively created modern American culture as we know it, the one that we fantasize about and romanticize. The music, the radical politics, the revolutionary. They were revolutionaries making successful inroads. And granted, it was on the left, so it's cringe and boomer and, But here's the thing. To go back to what I was saying earlier, maybe the hippie archetype is really post-political. Maybe it's not exclusively tied to a liberal civil rights era radical shtick, Because what I was telling this communist lady on her Discord Twitch stream thing is I was like, look, I like, these communists that romanticize the worker with this flowery language, and they talk about philosophy and this kind of romantic tint, and it's kind of futurist aesthetic. Nick's time kind of talked about the futurism a bit. And of course, the Italian futurists had this aesthetic thing going. They were a little more, maybe more radical than, maybe not as closer to our philosophy and politics, close for comfort. But nevertheless, conceptually, you got this futurist concept. And it's like Dalton talking about the hippies. And even though I don't like the Beatles, I think he's got some of the Beatles in his intro for NHB. And I think at some level, I have to just put my personal bias aside. I'm a metal guy. I agree with Thomas that the Beatles and not so much the Rolling Stones, but a lot of these 60s British bands kind of took us away from the Southern rock from Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, Eddie Cochran. That is rock and roll. And that's metal kind of came out of that rather than explicitly British new wave. And maybe I'm projecting there. I don't know if Thomas would totally agree with that. But, the idea that there is that dichotomy between British rock and American rock. Maybe there's an American nationalist side to the rock lore. And I was talking about some of the, some people might say that we're degenerate for liking some of that stuff. Like I was talking about some of that with this Wignat. I went on his show, another anecdote since I've been gone. And so what I'm trying to say, and I'm saying it in too many words like I always do, what I'm saying is pro-Palestinian activists on the campus, young people into radical politics, the 60s seemingly have never ended. I'm talking to Zach about rock and roll, the Wignat. I'm talking to this I'm talking to a communist like it's the 60s. I'm talking to a communist young woman as a far-right art critic wannabe. Dalton's vibing with the Beatles, wearing the John Lennon glasses with the short hair. And I'm just like, that's when he's talking about the hippies, it's like, it's not about the political jargon. It's not about wanting to be a revolutionary as in tearing down the American fabric. Maybe it's about going after the conservative ideology, but really it's really about this whole show, which is when we talk about Dime Square, we talk about Armenian, or we talk about any one of these streams that I've been on. What I'm saying is, if we're flirting, again, metaphorically, of course, metaphorically flirting with a lot of these spheres and individuals and ideas, I don't want people to look at us as a bunch of unprincipled Zoomers that just want to go where the edginess is. Because I really do see it as a counterculture phenomenon. It's a social movement rather than a political one. So, anyways, some of the big dilemma right now is a lot of this pro-Muslim, seemingly pro-Palestine things happening on the timeline. I don't even really talk about that kind of stuff, the political drama with the Zoomers and Groypers. But since that's a big thing and we got a bunch of those types, I guess, coming to the event next month, maybe I like I just brought it up right now, it kind of ties into just everything else we've been talking about where, yeah, why would a young Zoomer reactionary be appealed to all of this crazy stuff that seemingly has nothing to do with us, people who wouldn't agree with us? I think it maybe even goes more to the point of we're getting out of politics. We're getting out of this left-right thing. We're getting out of this Cold War mentality, this boomer truth, as AA dubs it. And maybe some people just are confused why the Zoomers are cozying up with some of these people, Andrew Tate and all these other people. Well, when I think about where I've been, NHB, the recap show, all these the Twitter timeline, it's like I've never really come at this from a political angle, mostly. When I'm on Twitter talking to Emily Yukis and Jefferson Lee, and yeah, Jefferson Lee came from the Vidar Castle, and it's an alt-right hub, and yeah, Emily says racist stuff, and it's like these people, again, these older people that I'm falling in love with, it's like this is all counterculture internet lore. This is all something that Catherine would write about, Giant Geo would write about. Like I think that's the appeal, and that's the social capital that people our age don't really have in a real life setting. We cling to it here on the timeline. And so anyways, I don't even think I was going to mention the Dalton's hippie rant tangent thing. But it's like, that's really what this channel is. Like, that's what I've been trying to talk about with Dime Square and all these Yarvin types. I don't want to come on here and talk about unqualified reservations. I'm not going to read all of that. But Yarvin throws a party. E-Girl Coin people throw a party. Stuff's going on in California. I want to pull up. Somebody on Twitter besides Nick is throwing a party. That's kind of our deal, is it not? So anyways, that was a messy, rambly, incoherent sorry. But look, that's to get a preamble here for this show. Like, that's what's been going on Twitter for the past, 3 months. All this Muslim stuff on the timeline. What kind of people are going to pull up to AFPAC, and what's going on with Dalton's Paul Allen show? And is this a political show? Is this political? No, it's not. When I talk to all these people, is it about raising the consciousness? It's about meeting some new friends, okay? And some of these people seem to be on the same track. So, anyways, sorry that was a bit all over the place, but maybe that's the most fitting preamble we could have on this show after spending so much time away. So, yeah, man. A lot of stuff's been going on. A lot of stuff. Counterculture, art critics. And why do we got to wait for the e-girls to do it? Why do we got to wait for millennials to invest in some Bitcoin? Zoomers. people tuning into the show, people that tune into my Twitter spaces. All these philosophy books, even if you read them, it's not about going to DC and getting on the American Moment podcast and getting a compact magazine subscription. It's about, putting out original, funny content that appeals to our age demographic, that doesn't gatekeep people in the distant right that's trying to be usurped by these millennial types. So anyways, sorry if that was a little all over the place, but it's just like, who else is going to say it? Well, if someone else says it, it'll probably come out more coherently, so maybe someone else should say it. But anyways, yeah, that's, how do you spend so much time on Twitter? How does it ruin a guy's sleep schedule? Well, that's where all my friends are. Lack of IRL stuff in the political dissident right context. But there's actually been some stuff with the dissident right that maybe we could get into later. Anyways, let me catch up with the chat. And I don't even know if anybody even knows what I'm talking about, to be frank. But anyways, I'm back behind the desk, and I'm not doing a Twitter space. So what's going on? What's going on, folks? What's going on? Is anyone graduating? Let me know what. Okay, you guys with the viewer count. My goodness, stop that. My goodness. Okay. Oh, here we go. Where are we at? It's nice to see a history lesson from old, let's say, faces. Shows you what is being seen. Mate until you're 30, you're a boy. Okay, I like that. I like that. Ace is back. TB80A, good to see you, man. Hey, thank you, man. Did you find women? What do you mean, on campus? Well, it's just some mutuals. Nothing anybody needs to dwell on. Okay, well, maybe I should talk about, oh gosh, we're already, my goodness, these things. Well, here's the thing. I never even told the part where I went to LA and I went to a Curtis Yarvin, Richard Hanania debate. I'm sorry, this is old lore, and Twitter space people are probably already in the loop. I'll just do this real quick. It seems like I should at least say something. I almost wanted to say something else, but anyways, I just want to tell a funny story because it was kind of a comedic thing what happened at the, what do you call it? What happened at the Yarvin thing. So first of all, Curtis Yarvin, this political wonk who was talking to Christopher Rufo in like a dialectic on I Am 1776 magazine. And for the record, to me, that's very like millennial coded stuff. That's not really our jive. But for what it's worth, he's associated with these parties. I went to Vegas for this guy. I went to a ballroom. Did I talk about that on the stream? I should talk about that. That one's actually more interesting. So, well, first of all, I guess I could wrap. No, let me do the ballroom. That's more fun. The ballroom, I got this mask. I lost the mask at Curtis Yarvin's like after party room, whoever was responsible for that. And anyways, I met, well, here, hold on. Where do I even start with this? So I go to Vegas and it seems like it's not going to be the usual crowd because the people who go, it's Filthy Armenian Adventures, and something like that. If you check him out on Twitter, he does these podcasts. He talks to Steve Saylor, in with the Red Scare girls, or at least Anna Kay. Anyways, all this dissident right stuff outside our usual sphere. He's been hosting these events. He hosted one at the Adventurers Club with Richard Hanania, not related to the Curtis Yarvin debate. But anyways, he's been doing this stuff on the West Coast, dime square type events. And anyways, he basically did one in Vegas. And Yarvin was there. Matt from New Right, he was there. He did a speech. And here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. Isaac Simpson, the Carousel podcast, something like that. I invited him into one of my Twitter spaces because I do the recap show for Dalton Clodfelter's cozy Twitter space content. It's this comedy show where we invite fringe figures. It's very all over the place, a little political. Groyper's running a radio show effectively on Twitter. So I'm responsible for the recap show. And I think the Isaac Simpson dilemma is relevant to kind of shorten this story. So if those of you guys know Isaac Simpson, he's on Twitter. He's a cool guy, and he was super, fine to me. It's unfortunate what happened, but it actually makes for an interesting story. I invited him on the recap show because he got into some drama with the Dime Square type crowd. And we don't have to get into all this because we're kind of getting into like the February video territory. Anyways, the details aren't super important. The point is I invited Isaac Simpson, who's a dissident right friendly account. He's got a podcast and he's effectively like an art critic. He likes that Edward Bernays. What is it? On Propaganda, that guy. And this stuff is not really the Freudian art critic, early 20th century stuff. I'm not a scholar. I'm not really up on that just yet. Maybe I'll check it out later. But anyways, smart guy. He's like in the advertising industry or something. He does his own thing and he's cool, dissident right, etc. I invited him to my Twitter space. My Twitter spaces have been kind of this place where people can get welcome into the fold, maybe the Groyper sphere, maybe just the sphere in general, the Zoomer spaces. Because usually it's all these alt-right type people. It's Wignats and whatever. They've brought on, thanks to Dalton, Paul Allen, the NHB show, which is on cozy.tv. They've brought on Thomas 777, Josh Neal, Jefferson Lee. Like, we've gotten people that are friendly to us in those spaces. A really cool thing. Isaac Simpson, who was nothing but nice to me before I invited him on the Twitter space. And this isn't to be like a jerk entirely, but I want to tell the story because it's funny and, maybe, I don't know. He doesn't follow me on Twitter anymore. So I guess now he's actually not going to see this. But I think just telling the story is appropriate for the show, for better or for worse. So anyways, I invite him into our Groyper Zoomer rambunctious space. And, there's always a risk with that. My kind of group, friends, mutuals, if you will, very rambunctious and kind of reactionary and, maybe gets people out of their comfort zone when they do their guerrilla warfare ratioing, even in the spaces, not just in the comments. Anyways, Isaac Simpson got an impression of that in my Twitter space. And this was a guy who basically invited me to this ballroom, this Curtis Yarvin Dime Square friendly event. And, look, I guess this is me setting the record. Whatever, this is old lore. I'm not sure, whatever comes of this. It's just, this is what's been happening since the show's been absent. So I'm telling the tale. Sorry to be redundant. But anyways, Isaac Simpson, who I still like, he got into my Zoomer space. And this is kind of what I want to do, right? I like some of the millennials. I like some of the gray area people on Twitter. I like the Groypers. I put them all in one space, figuratively, on this YouTube channel. Well, I actually did that in this Twitter space for the show. And as you can probably imagine, it got chaotic. Some things were said. He left. And then things got, let's just say he did not follow me anymore after that space. And look, here's the thing. All joking aside, this is really kind of the dilemma with this show, and maybe what I do in general, is there's a lot of different archetypes in the sphere, and there's a lot of people who don't really like talk to the Groypers in some contexts. And, for what it's worth, that was a very hectic week. Like, there was all kinds of people coming after Isaac, and, the guy's like a normal guy. So, like, for the internet stuff, he doesn't really want any part of that. So I guess I kind of walked him into an ambush. and should have been more calculated with that. But it's all of that is kind of interesting, off the wall, if you will. But also, it kind of puts the show into context where that can happen. A lot of that's not meshing very well with the other archetypes. It's risky. It's a big risk. I didn't win that one. But every other thing like that, whether it was Thomas or Jefferson Lee, Paul Allen likes Jefferson Lee from the McSpencer Group era. Emily Yukas basically came out of retirement for her animations, Flash animations, and talking to the Groypers, talking to May at VDare. I mean, kind of like a nostalgic resurgence of some of these older far-right types. And, it's just kind of interesting. Like, there's a lot of success stories like that. There's a lot of people that mesh very well. And, maybe I should also be honest and tell this story about Isaac, because it didn't go well. It was my fault. I was not a good host. Also, I wasn't a good manager responsible for keeping everything under wraps. But that was kind of like a visible example of this dilemma. The fact that you have this generational divide, a strategy divide, archetype divide, different personalities. And the Isaac Simpson thing, again, it's, I kind of lost a mutual, but it was kind of like a learning experience. And again, whatever, who cares what the fallout was, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if I'm ever going to see this guy again. That's the other awkward part. But whatever. It was an unfortunate thing, but it also kind of has a nice anecdote for this channel, because we talk about these types of people. We talk about all the things that go correctly. And this was the Zoomers being too much for the millennial. And that happens. That happens. I don't want to totally finger wag, but, things like that are probably going to happen regardless of the moderation and this and that. So anyways, the reason I found out about the ballroom was because of him. So thank you, Isaac. Thank you for basically doing everything you can to integrate me into his fold. But when I guess I maybe not returned to the favor, but tried to do it from my genre. Not that was really like the whole point. I mean, I don't remember what the motivation was before that episode, to be honest. That was a while ago. But I was probably enthusiastic about the fact that we had some Red Scare lore to introduce to some of the Zoomers. It was kind of a merging of worlds. But, that stuff's always risky. Not really our people sphere. But that was like a very telling incident. And I was responsible. I was responsible for being a bad host and for not sticking up for my guy who was nice to me. So it was an unfortunate thing. I don't know. Maybe we can make up. If anybody's watching this who knows Isaac, maybe we can bring him on the show or something. We can talk this out, because, maybe for him it was like nothing but a negative falling out. To me, that was kind of like almost like an experimental project what took place in that Twitter space. And, it's not cool when people get upset, your friends get mad and whatever. But anyways, I wanted to tell that story because maybe some of you guys missed that. I didn't really tell that on stream. But kind of setting the stage for like what I'm doing, going to all these different events. And then how's that going to play well with some of the Zoomers not always successful? So you got to be careful and got to be smart and got to understand where the millennials are coming from. Completely different dynamic. So anyways, not to harp too much on this kind of like random story for most, but that was, that involved the ballroom. That involved another IRL event that I went to. And this is one of the Twitter shenanigans that I've been up on for months at this point. And that's what's been going on. That's what's been going on with Ace online outside of YouTube. So anyways, do I got stuff coming out of my... Okay. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Anyways, that's one anecdote. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, it's this one. It's this one. Excuse me. Can't be doing that at AFPAC. The Zoomers are gonna optics check me. All right. So, anyways. All right. Oh, sorry about this. I missed some of your comments. You are two people on it or look at it. What? Oh, probably Dalton. Or I don't know, actually. This isn't a Twitter space. I'm glad you're as mad as me as this particular day. Okay, I missed the context for this. Sorry about that. The thread. Never go mad on stream. He is a duo on Twitter and... Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yes. Or, hold on. Yes to this is on Twitter and YouTube. Excuse me. If he knew what to expect, set the record, be better, learn. Yeah, exactly. Is this the guy? I don't know. I don't know exactly. Very stupid on Ace's part. Yeah, sorry about that. Well, sorry. That's the other thing. I am sorry. I do feel bad. Because this guy did nothing but, like, treat me like a guest in a place where I'm just like some guy. These guys all have credentials. I'm just like some Zoomer that came out of Twitter, came out of the Groyper sphere. And then this is what I do to him. This is how I treat a guy who invited me out to another state. That's not cool. So I'm sorry, Isaac. I messed up. I let the content ruin a cool relationship. That's not cool. That's not cool. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't be cool. So it's not cool with him. So I'm sorry about that. Anyways, we'll probably talk again. We'll probably pull up at the same thing. Maybe the e-girl event. Anyways. But that was something that happened. That was something I didn't talk about on stream. What else? Yeah, the ballroom, man. The ballroom. You know what's funny? I got it. Hold on. Let me go in my... I was taking notes at the event because there was just so much. Randy, I'm not going to do that. You want to put temptation on me in this space? I can't do it. I can't afford to do it. Please. Please don't. Please don't do this. Let me go to my Google Docs. What is going on? Dating advice. Oh my goodness, I missed the... When was this? Nikki, are you there? Hold on, Nikki, get on the show. Get on the show right now. Hold on a sec here. Pause. Where is she? Where is she? How do I tag her in this, bro? No, I'm the boomer. Hold on. Pause. Why am I... Dude. Hey. How do I send the StreamYard? Oh, here we go. I would have to do this. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Let me take down... What should I take down? This? Okay. Let me go on Twitter. Can we get her on here? She's probably off work. How do we do this? Let me go to my profile. Hey. What's her name? Where's the... Okay. Dude, it's over. Dude, are you... What just happened? What did I just do? What did I just do? Okay. Okay, am I clicking the wrong thing here? Anyway, send in questions while I figure out how to use a laptop. Okay, I guess. Excuse me. Dude. Why can't I just put her at? Okay, hold on. Oh. Okay. What's been going on with you guys? Okay, so I got to do this and I got to do that. Okay. Ugh, it's not going to work. Hold on. Okay, hey, speaking of merging audiences. Okay, where's my invitation link? Okay, sorry about this complicated business. Oh, hold on. All right. Is she still active? All right. Let's see what she's... Let me check the likes. Check the likes. 1 hour ago? We'll see. We'll see if she wants it. Anyways. Okay, enough of all this. Sorry about all that. You will be here in 20 years? Oh my goodness. The Cali Zoomer. The Cali Zoomer. I don't know if I can relate because I'm a professional. Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, hey, there's different archetypes. That's the thing. And that's the other thing too. That whole hippie thing, let me put some more context on that. I'm saying there's a lot of potentials for different Zoomer archetypes. Maybe Madison Grant alluded to this in some capacity with his race science stuff. Here's the thing. Perhaps, not in like a physical way, but ideologically, personality-wise, there could be a lot of types of Zoomers. And I look at some of these millennials, and I talked about this with Nikki. I talked about this with a Hegelian communist or something. I understand when people see groypers, all they see are the guerrilla warfare tactic guys. All they see are like the people posting certain people, certain ways. And here's the thing. I don't really feel a strong capacity to disavow a lot of that because a lot of it gets people like Nick back on Twitter. Some of it pushes the Overton window and Turning Point USA and all of that. So on a pragmatic level, I don't really have much to say. But maybe what me and her were kind of getting at was a lot of people personally who are already having an understanding with dissident taboo stuff, they think that, I imagine, when they think psychologically about groypers, they think that this is a demographic that they can't possibly merge with their audience. And they're probably right. Or that they couldn't hang out with in real life. Or, more specifically, maybe can't be responsible for putting on any event outside of AF in a political context. And that's interesting. That last part I'm projecting, that last part is something that seems to be just the standard right now. All that other stuff is like, yeah, when they're in the comments, like on Twitch, all these people are like, oh, the Reddit voice and groypers are like this, and you're just doing a roundabout way to talk about WN, and you guys mimic Nick. True. But it's like, guys, like, there is so much energy and youthful exuberance, as Spencer would say, in this movement. It's like, that's what should attract a communist who is so galvanized by philosophy and Marxism and Romanticism. Where is the counterculture coming from? Where are the young bucks on the college campuses? What do they talk like? What are the talking points from those Palestinian activists? You know, you can look at it strictly as this third worldist, liberal, apparatchik type. Maybe what we should look at, like what Dalton was alluding to with the hippie archetype, I just see like a young counterculture figure. I see something that brings me a little bit closer to the 60s, a decade I will never live in. I see mobilization at a university. Think about the symbolism at an actual location of education and where all the young people are at, doing all these demonstrations. And, you know, I didn't get to live through the Nixon tapes and the Watergate scandal and, you know, playing long songs on the radio because the FCC, I guess, doesn't mind. I didn't get to live through the 20th century like the boomers did. I didn't get to, I get to look at it in retrospect on Dalton's intro, on Cozy. What do young people got to do? Go on TikTok, just watch a stream, don't organize, don't do anything outside of politics. If they do talk about politics, it's the same stuff that all these other guys have been talking about for years already. The same kind of stuff that probably drove Spencer out of the alt-right to begin with. And we think we're so cool to find a Pat Buchanan book from 20-some years ago. So we're going to do this again. We're doing conservatism again, but based. Tucker Show, but based. Dissident right, but instead of a millennial saying it, it's a Zoomer saying it. It's like, oh my goodness. Is this all we can do? So what I'm saying is different types of Zoomers. I see the millennials doing art scene, whatever stuff. I don't even want to support a lot of that crowd because it's not really my type of people. I'm not like a party guy, fraternity type. But whatever, they got their own strange New York crowd over there. And then what do we got? We got this hyper online political movement. Again, hyper online, not in like the, oh, you guys got all your radical ideas from the internet. Probably. Appropriate for this era, the climate. I mean hyper online, like, let's do something, Let's go somewhere and find the Zoomers who feel this way. And get out of politics. Do NHB on take that type, that archetype, that paradigm of doing something funny and innovative and with different types of people, not just all your mutuals. And not just waiting for someone else to do it, Anyways, you guys know I like the zines. I like the DIY punk rock, CBGB's, Max's Kansas City. Those places are shut down from what I understand. New York is not like super popping with that kind of stuff. So I look at these demonstrations on campus and I'm like, something even vaguely close to a kind of countercultural youth thing. So maybe that gives you kind of some context. If you're frustrated with some of the stuff on the timeline or, what am I so upset about? I'm in a political movement arguing about all the political people. That's so dumb. It's because I see all these millennials doing stuff that's kind of interesting, kind of somewhere where I'd like to get at. But it's all, I show up and I'm like the outlier. I'm like one of the youngest guys there. I guess there's some younger people maybe showing up nowadays. I don't know. There's only a handful of these events. But it's like, man, we don't get nothing besides AFPAC. We don't get nothing besides, a drive-in, a white boy summer, something vaguely DIY, Not saying people need to do something radical like the Wignats talk. Something extremely basic, But we don't really think like that. We are very online, introverted, incel archetype. Socializing is like a bygone. We're doing the Putnam thing. Social capital is in decline. So look, the demonstrations on campus is exciting. And yeah, it's liberal. And these guys wouldn't want to pull up. Patrick Casey's all like, these guys aren't your political allies. Dude, you think when I pull up to a Yarvin event, those are my political allies? You think I'm there for politics? I almost said a certain word just now. I'm not on Twitter, so not that I would say it in any other context, just, allegedly. But guys, young guys, don't talk like that. Don't think like that. Why? That's my big gripe with Academic Agent and these dissident right guy. Oh, the other thing. I got tagged in some tweet by some guy who I don't really know of besides after I talked to him. And he's putting together this Twitter thread about the British right, the UK, the old guys and the Rainbow Coalition, all this stuff that I don't keep up with. I'm not a political guy. He's talking about the dissident right, and he said that I guess he checked out some of my content. And it's like, I haven't done a YouTube video in how long? And this guy was like, oh, yeah, I checked out one of your 2-hour videos. And it's like, okay, you're going to have to be more specific. You were complaining about the dissident right. Again, can we get to specifics here? I don't know exactly which one he was talking about, but I guess I was talking about Academic Agent, and it might have been the February. It was probably the February one. But hey, people finding these videos after all this time has gone by, I guess some people, hey, if the YouTube channel serves any utility, this guy seems like a Substack writer type. He seems to have like well, I don't know. Maybe it's not my place to say what he told me. But I'm curious what that's going to look like. You know, seems like a cool guy. And I guess he's going to be using Loud Sound Epicenter as a citation, effectively. So, hey, hooray, the Alice Cooper song. Interesting. There's another weird thing that happened. I woke up right over there, and I found out about this guy who I guess is somebody, I don't know. A British guy who likes me. Rare. Anyways, did this Hegelian communist, leftist, Trotskyist, did she get the link already? Hey. Why is Yellow Jacket? Oh my goodness. Do we have controversy in the comments? Okay, guys. Hey, boys, behave. I'm sorry, Burden. I'm sorry, Burden. I'm a bad friend. I didn't go on your stream. I'm sorry. You sure it wasn't a journalist? No, because don't worry about that. I know, right? That would be the biggest cliche. No, this guy, if you go on his Twitter, I mean, again, not that people should trust people like that in general, but anyways. Oh my goodness. Another anecdote. If Vice City Hunter, if you're in chat, I went to this, okay, another thing. I went to this Reno, I don't know if it was Young Americans for Freedom or Young Americans for Liberty, probably the latter. You guys know the drill. Conservatarian, college, campus conservative. I went there. I was invited to this training. They want these young guys to get into politics. And I don't know why I did it, but they've been inviting me for so long. I just wanted to, I talk about wanting to do stuff IRL. These guys have been inviting me for a while. So I guess that's basically it. I was already doing these trips, these Yarvin type escapades. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that thing was also coming up. So I did it. And I'm sitting there. And look, this is like Zoomer to Zoomer. I don't mean to get like too personal, but I'm sitting there. And again, this is how you know I'm not like made for this kind of stuff. Like maybe some people think like if you know about paleoconservatism or paleo-libertarianism, that makes you like and if you're a young guy and you got the know-how and you're really articulate, get these young guys and throw them in DC, put them on the American Moment podcast and let him be the new based, commentator for the new right, part 12, but the new right again. I'm sitting at this training and they're saying they're saying some things that could be interpreted as based. Politicians are to be used. They kind of have this Machiavellian tone to their presentation. And, how to be an effective political strategist. And it's like, okay, whoa, bro. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know exactly verbatim what's going through my mind, but maybe not exactly in that moment, maybe later it came to me a little bit better. But that trip just made me feel like no matter how lame I could possibly conceive my parents to be, no matter how frustrated I could be with them on like a bad day or whatever, I just want to be home. I want to be in my small town, minimalist, like whatever, like a bad day in my house. I'll take like that over, getting along with these political types that are, effectively learning how to be in DC insiders, Capitol Hill staffers. And I just feel like, I'm being kind of dramatic, but it was like I was away from home. I was in another state. I was effectively isolated because I'm doing this thing that's not really my thing. I'm by myself, not really with a group like the Yarvin events, some of the Twitter mutuals. This was a very particular type of event. And I checked it out because I was going to stuff anyway in general. And so I went to this one because it was like on the calendar, so to speak. And of course, the one political event, and it's, but there's young people there and they agree with you on your ideology. And it's like, if there's any confusion about, what am I doing on Twitter? What am I a groyper? Am I a partisan? Am I an activist? Do I post about politics the way that everybody else does? One could argue, no, I am completely outside of that demographic. Now, of course, I associate with a lot of political people, so I can't really say I'm out of politics per se. But, just in the context of the story, I mean, being at this young, again, contrast this with like the Palestinian demonstrations. This was a young professional buttoned up with a tie or something. I don't even know if I wore the tie. But this was a professional for young people political event. Didn't like it. We left early. I met this guy, Vice City Hunter, on Twitter. I was in this room. I was just, I don't know if I was completely black-pilled, but I was just sitting there, and I don't know. I guess I was working on this article that I think hadn't completed at the time. I was kind of probably thinking about other things. And this whole room seemingly is just all libertarianed up with college students, age students, etc. And I go to the back where the snacks are. I'm hanging out. And this guy walks up to me and asks, I forget exactly what he asked, but he was like, "Are you Ace?" And he was like, "Hey, man, all your people are over here." And these guys were like, "Yeah, we know Thomas 777, Pete Canones." And I'm just like, guys, you have no idea how much you saved this trip. I like think about this. I think Nick has talked about like the Leadership Institute's training sessions where like it's a 2-week thing and maybe there's bunks, or I don't even know how they do it. I haven't gone to those, I think, in a professional context. But this was like the closest thing I got to that from what I remember. Watching this presentation, they give you these notebooks. They might be somewhere around here. And I'm just not digging this, not my thing. And so then I sit with these guys and, we're just like talking about the stuff that like is on our sphere. They're talking about night owls. They're talking about, I think, referencing their Discord channel. And then I find out like towards maybe after the trip or towards the end, these guys are like millennials. And I guess I'm not very good at picking up on that. But anyways, I was just so white-pilled. What are you guys doing here? Like, this is not our scene, this and that. And they seem to be totally acquainted with the basket weaving, Dave the Distributus faction types. And so that was almost like a fictional story. That was another thing I went to, and it had this surprising thing. Again, more mutuals that I, got to know. And it's just like, man, as far as like my identity crisis, being in the dissident right, doing this show, kind of not really doing a conventional Twitter. Twitter Space type of account, etc. Excuse me. That maybe that's like the better example compared to the Isaac Simpson anecdote. Isaac Simpson, I'm trying to kind of get him onto my thing. It doesn't go well. These guys, they're millennials, you know, from what I understand. I am kind of looking for an audience, or, you know, not really, but looking for something that catches my interest. These guys pull me in at this conservative, political, whatever, Barry Goldwater type thing. And it's just like, man, like that's where we're different. That's where there's young people, they're millennials. You know, I consider them young. Those guys helped me. Those guys want, you know, those types in that room. And what's the overwhelming sample in that room? It's all these people geared up to be the next, you know, door knocker, campaign pitcher, and then to go outside of this scenario, a pundit, turning point ambassador. This is what the college conservative organizations pitch to the youth with all that energy and all that exuberance. Don't party with the Muslim girls and the Palestinian people. Do not flirt with the Crescent Moon people over there talking about, you know what. Go over here and hang out with the bougie libertarians who can't win elections on their own party ticket, so they have to LARP as right wing, and they're not. They're libertarian, which means they're liberal, which is run by the people that those people are calling out. So it's like, we are not the same. We are not the same. I mean, is that fair? That's the pitch. That's the you guys agree on so much. It's not about that. You put me in a room with a bunch of young people who agree with me politically. I'm thinking about, like, you're putting me in a black-pilled mindset. So all of that shilling, all that money that's behind all these libertarian Koch brother type things, like, I don't want it. It's not me. I want, my identity is not bound up in that struggle and this Cold War fight for liberty. I would actually, to bring back the Dalton hippie communist, and that's a statement, I would probably vibe more with Nikki, the Hegelian, even with like totally opposite politics, because she understands that romantic tint to philosophy, which is something that I think our reactionaries are actually closer to. This kind of art-right aesthetic, yearning for the radio shows and the comedians in the entertainment industry. Obviously, not all groupers are in that camp, but what I'm saying is, like, she gets it on that level, shilling an e-girl on the show, by the way. And all these other people that are doing far-right, wignat, political race realism in 2024, like, dude, I already went to Amren, okay? It really wasn't that cool. It was cool, but you understand conceptually. Archetype-wise, these guys were not, you know, these guys would wear this tie, you know. But just, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm complaining about. Am I making like way too much noise, by the way? Anyways, I want to put on a good show here because it's been so long. But that's what I'm talking about. That's the art critic, you know, the non-cringe Nietzschean type stuff. I'm not trying to like politicize all this philosophy or all this Twitter lore. I'm trying to make it fun and funny and interesting and part of in this thing of ours. You know, that's what I'm trying to do. That's what the merging of audiences, that's what the e-girl thing is to an extent. That's what the whole show's about. That's what all the Dime Square hype I'm trying to talk about. The Filthy Armenian, all that stuff. It's what I'm trying to talk about. It's not about agreeing with these guys. Because you don't go to a party to do that. It's a party, right? An IRL event is not a conference, is not a polling station. So again, just Zoomers can't think of stuff outside of this. Well, what does that mean for the movement type talk? Dude, I'm not in that movement. Hippie communism and total e-girl art critic, Zoomer, Jewish, cosmopolitan, New York. Did I miss anything? No, but that's okay. That's disavowing that. You understand what I'm talking about. The romantic rather than the politician. The art critic rather than the polemicist. Anyways, all right, that's enough. We can't be talking like that anymore. So what's going on with you guys? It's good to be back. Also, Patriot Jam. July's after June. July 27. Tennessee, Nashville area. Tennessee, July 27 in Nashville. I am effectively hosting this concert in the South with some people you might recognize. So, hey, Zoomers doing things outside of a political context, doing stuff IRL, not waiting for a millennial to do it or an e-girl. How about let's try to put together a little concert in the South, rock and roll, some DIY perhaps, and if anybody here is in the area, you know, we can shill that in chat. We can do whatever we want. But that's another thing. That's another thing coming up before I forget. July 27 in Tennessee. Bass guitarist. What's going on? Okay. Let's get Patriot Jam. 2024 Patriot Jam. July 27th, 2024. Whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. In the Tennessee area, if you're a Tennessee Zoomer, Groyper, dissident right, lurker, the Patriot Jam, July 27th. Whoops. How about that, folks? How's that for some IRL organizing? Okay, we complain. The millennials are doing it. They have some leverage over us. Okay, we did it. You think it's cringe? Well, we did something. Zoomers, what say you? So anyways, hey, shout out. Yo, we got Cheesy Gloipist in chat. This guy is like the art critic, the poet of the Instagram stories. This guy, my guy, Cheesy Gloipist. I love Cheesy Gloipist. You and all my Zoomer bros seem to have been robbed of the adolescent experience. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to like meme into, you know. That's what I'm trying to say in too many words. Social capital, taking the Twitter stuff, making it cool, not making it political. Do it IRL, not making it political. And we do the beat. We like to show the beatnik thing. We like to talk about the hippies, and maybe that sounds paused because the hippies aren't our guys. True, but there's a lot of nuance there, and there's a lot of like literary stuff that's not just all this, you know, Nietzsche, Evola stuff. Again, we're not Nietzscheans. I said that. I shouldn't have name dropped that because it kind of ruins the... We're not Nietzscheans. We're not Evolians. We're not supposed to be pagan. We're not supposed to be super far right in like a extreme political activist NJP context. It's not about being base. It's about being cool, funny. It's not about being smart. It's about being likable. All that stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. This Zoomer archetype, the Zoomer archetype that can seamlessly go into academia, in the art scene, you know, can do anything. Can make friends with a Hegelian communist. All kinds of potential. All of that stuff's on the table. But we don't really have a lot of that stuff. We had people like Kai Clips. We have people in the book club, Anglo Zoomer, NJ Gloip. Shout out NJ Gloip. All that stuff. All those types. But they're kind of outliers, you know. We don't have zines. We don't have concerts like our parents did. Our parents' era. Got to bring back the social capital. Got to get out of this Lollapalooza, Coachella. I want like real rock and roll, independent Southern rock and roll. You know, a cool looking guy wearing leather, not in a homosexual manner, but just wearing leather, like Marlon Brando. Not like, you know, not like wearing leather in this other context. And, you know, like 68 comeback special, Vegas Elvis. Like, you know, the rock and roll needs a comeback. We need the Nixon handshake. We need the Thomas 777 handshake with, you know, the new rock and roll stud. You know, we need, you know, they need to like recreate that because that's kind of like the symbol. The way that the Elvis Nixon photo was like a symbol for what like me and Thomas have been up on. Thomas shaking hands with like, you know, somebody else, somebody like in the sphere. That's like the next generation of making this thing cool, uncontaminated with millennial corruption, if you will. Anyways, I said I shouldn't talk like that, and I went back into it. I'm ruining the content. But anyways, let me go through more of your guys' chats. Let me go through some more of your chat comments. Steve Saylor. Oh, dude, what the? Yo, let's go. Maybe we can get Saylor on the... Oh, if we could get Saylor to talk about the Runaways and the 70s. Oh, dude, like American Elitist, let's talk. Let's talk after the show. Let's talk after the show. My goodness. Live excitement behind the desk. I'm thinking we got some potential here. Have some fun. Build a support structure. Exactly. That's what the Hegelian told me. Where is she, by the way? Hey, go in there and bother her. Where is... Dude. Get her on the show. Get her on the show. Where's my comments? Hold on a sec here. Because this is like a nice, friendly kind of vibe. And I feel like this is very receptive. You know, this would have been a better Isaac interview setting versus NHB. All right. I'm trying too hard, actually. I'm actually trying too hard. Yo, do we got Alethea in chat? Alethea, are you here? This guy was talking about Derrida and Heidegger in our space. Dude, I'm so white-pilled. We can talk about stuff that doesn't get us deplatformed and kicked out of polite society and canceled from our academia job. And Alethea, Pill Eater, I mean, these guys, I could, you know... They just make me so white-pilled that it doesn't just have to be all this partisan stuff. We can actually have smart guys that are funny and knowing all the lore. So, hey, man. You're like 5 years off from being a millennial. I'm talking about the energy. I was telling this at my college. You know, I'm kind of a millennial in the way that, like, I grew up on Newgrounds, Emily Eucas. I feel like that resembles my arc rather than... I mean, I got into Ameren and then Pat Buchanan and Sam Francis and some of the Rothbard stuff. So I kind of have a conventional conservative pipeline. But really, as far as like aesthetically, my humor, my nihilistic tendencies, I feel like my Zoomer identity, my Zoomer nihilism is actually millennial nihilism. And all that flash animation that predates the 4chan and all the edits and the Groyper content. I mean, Newgrounds really was the alt-right, you know, but you understand what I mean. It was this eccentric, non-political, edgy stuff, which everybody seemed to be on board with. And really, it's like these guys who figure out that they're liberal. Like, maybe that's why Richard Hanania is such a weirdo. Like, he actually just, he's not a right-winger in the conventional context. He's not a conservative. He's racist. He's aware of human biodiversity. He just wants to be on the left because the left used to be racist and anti-feminist and all this stuff. Anti-woke. And so that's what people pick their lane. So maybe I'm kind of coming to a similar conclusion with the millennial archetype. You know, I seem to get along better with millennials. All these Zoomers want to like check your credentials, you know, all this kind of stuff, all this like initiation stuff. And it's like, you know, maybe it's because I am clinging to another generation. Maybe that's why, I don't know. It's almost like we need yeah, Paul, maybe. There is no liberty to be won. It was all okay. Well, I don't want to get too black-pilled, but I understand what you mean. Based IRL is much needed. I'm not a millennial. Yeah, there we go. 1,000-year Chad metal. Yeah, hey, well, maybe. You want me to hop on the stream? Maybe. It's just, it's been so long. I don't know. I'm having so much fun. My goodness. Where are these people? Oh, we got Joel Davis asking about something. Yeah, well, let's see what we can do there. 2 hours. Two hours ago, I mean, on her status update. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. And did I forget anything? Anyways, let's get American Elitist. How do I do this again? Hold on, let me just do this the boomer way. Get Nikki in here. Get her in here because look, this is like the ideal environment for this kind of thing that I'm talking about. So get her in here. Return to Hegel in the chat. Here. Spam her on oh, whoops. Hold on, let me do this over here. Are her DMs open? Look, get her in here. I'm craving for content. But I want to bring up American Elitist. American Elitist kind of got me first started on the California aesthetic. Got me kind of on that angle before I was really even doing it. So, hey, man, American Elitist, credit where it's due. You know, I wasn't really... Let's talk about consciousness. I wasn't really getting into some of that stuff before our little stream. So, hey, man. Not a little stream, but, dude, you were going all in on our presentation there. So, thank you, man. All right, spam her on Twitter, get in her DMs if they're open. I think they might be open. Yeah, I think they're open. Just hold on. Go in her DMs specifically. Not the timeline. Go in her DMs and spam. Is she on Twitch? How does this work? Is it going to tell me? Okay, whatever. I'm delaying the American Elitist. Okay. American Elitist, where are you at, man? Oh, dude. How do I... Dude. How do I bring you in here, man? What is going on? Can I just send you the link? Dude, it's over. Okay, hold on a sec here. There you are. Sorry about that. What is it? Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. There. Is this gonna work? How about that? Is that a link that you can get in here with? Okay, try that. Hey, there he is. Hey,
Yo, what's up, man?
what's going on, man? What is going on? American Elitist, it's been a little while.
No, it really has been, man. I think the last time we talked, we went into the California lore for quite a bit. We discussed California's status as a southern state, which many people don't know about. We talked about how LA was a southern city for quite a bit. We got into some really cool stuff about California, actually. How it was really the golden state for a long time.
The Nixon
Mm,
rights,
mm.
the maybe just the frontier for all the southern types. It's palatable for that kind of like outdoorsman appeal. Yeah, man. No, you really went all in. So yeah, man. Congrats. That video is still out there, as far as I know.
No, I know. Here's a fun fact about that live stream, actually. I had like a massive fever doing that stream, and I still did it anyway.
Oh wow.
I
Well,
had a massive fever during that stream, and I still did it anyway. Because I'm
well,
just that
nice.
much of a zoomer, you know.
Well, hey, man. That nice performance. You
Mm,
were
mm, mm,
on it. So what have you been up
mm,
on, man? I've kind of stepped away, like I said a while ago. I stepped away from kind of the AA, Dave the Distributus, DR content. So what's been going on? What have you been checking out or anything, man? What's up?
I think for me lately, I think kind of like you, I've moved away from kind of the AA, Evla kind of stuff. That's kind of, I think that era is kind of past now at this point. So
Same.
now I think my most of my attention was with the YouTube stuff is with the OGC crowd, you know, your old Glory Club types, your Prudentialistas, you know, Dave's, some more of those types, Mr. Ryan Turnipseed, some of those other types of people in that kind of sphere. I feel like I see a bunch of like new things coming out from that because they're trying to be like a fraternal organization that helps its members, kind of like the Masons, except less gay, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
That's the kind of idea, right? Because the idea behind the OGC is like you could set up your own chapter everywhere, and they want chapters to be in every single state. They want it to also serve as like a basket weaving mechanism, right, where people can form little basket weavings anywhere in the country, right? So that's the goal. It's obviously starting out small now. We only have 2 chapters, but again, we have a lot of competent young men who are again elite. Like I've seen, like you wouldn't believe it, Ace. The amount of like extremely intelligent young people I've seen at these events is astonishing. I mean, like some of these people are going to be like the future leaders under like Emperor Baron. Like it's not even a meme at this point. We can
Maybe.
go into the Baron stuff too if you want, but like we have people who are the sons of politicians, leaders of industry, faith leaders. Like I mean, and like none of them are gay. It's just competent young men. I mean, who are really gonna do stuff. I'm a lot more optimistic, I think, this year than a lot of people give this year credit for. You know, we kind of had a rough start with all the stuff with Israel and Gaza and all this other nonsense and the women stuff on Twitter, but like I'm feeling pretty optimistic here, I think.
Yes, I am optimistic. I'm white pilled. Some might see that as like naive to be all hyped up during the election year. But look, like you said, I feel like the youth are activated, they're engaged. And, if what you're saying is true, that, behind the scenes, there's all these young guys that are based and not getting turned into libertarians or neocons. That we don't see that in public, so people feel like, oh, maybe nothing's happening. But I'm actually, I share your enthusiasm. I want to be white pilled this year, and I want it to be the youthful year for our guys. So, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad you're reporting on that's happening.
No, I mean, people, like, I can't be blackpilled anymore. I mean, it's like, well, number one, I mean, faith is number one above all, even like ideology and, based figures from the mid-century, right? I mean, faith is our number one source of optimism here, but it's like, guys, this is a long struggle here. It's not like we're just gonna, like, tomorrow, Trump's gonna get into office, and then, like, it's like the American Reich, for 5 million years or something like that. That's not how it works. These are long processes, but, like, again, the forces of history are long and winding, but they bend towards us.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like this is, an intergenerational struggle, and so yeah, if there's things that don't look great from people's perspective, I just say, cherish the things that are going well and keep your friend group based or what have you. So, yeah, man, if anyone's feeling down, maybe there's other stuff that they can focus on.
I know, I mean, people, it's like Baron Trump is literally like Caesar Augustine reincarnated, and like they're literally putting his father on trial. And like, have you seen that man? I mean, this man is going to be Emperor of America, and people are blackpilled. Like, I mean, come on. I think you guys need to be a lot more optimistic here. I mean, listen, obviously our politicians are awful, but again, look at the future that we have, that we're brewing here. We have something going on here. This isn't just like, blood sports, a spectacle thing. Oh, we're going to talk about Apple for like 4 years. This is so brand new, revolutionary ideas here, right? Like, I see new things coming out of this sphere, like, that are actually genuinely new. Like, it's new culture. You know what I mean? You're working with the music stuff. I saw you just put out that event that's going to happen in Tennessee, right? I mean, like, we got OGC forming groups across America, trying to organize young men to have families in positions of influence. Again, the sources of optimism are everywhere. Like, you just like have to get off Twitter, honestly.
Right. No, man, that's the kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that I think is going to keep us white pilled. So yeah, man, just we're optimistic. I don't want to be a critic in the kind of negative, kind of black pilling way. I just want us to hang out and have fun. So, yeah, man, I think we're overlapping here. But
No, I know. I mean, literally, Steve Saylor just followed me on Twitter like 20
yeah, how did
minutes
that
ago.
happen? How did that even? What's going on, man?
So the story behind that actually is I followed Steve Saylor a long time ago, but I think like 20 or 30 minutes ago, I saw that Steve Saylor reposted the V-Dare Castle in like,
Okay.
Berkeley, West Virginia, and like how that's also in like Fallout. And I just like commented, it's almost heaven. And he was like based, and then he was like, please follow me, and he followed me. Like, listen, the elite following is growing, listen. I may not have the most insane number count, but I have a lot of like extremely intelligent people following me. Way smarter than I am, so.
Well, that's cool, man. No, that's Sailor's kind of on an arc right now, and it's interesting. Yeah, the Sailor stuff seems to be coming to a head, and dude, I mean, the fact that some of our mutuals are kind of like 1 degree of separation from these people that are being influential, it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic.
No, the amount of people I know who are friends with like people like Eric Prince, like a bunch of these other people, the military contractor sphere, people who have like connections with the elites but have been disaffected by the deep state, is just crazy. People who are connected with Tucker, a bunch of other people. Like, and we're connected with those people. We really are. You know what I mean? Like, it's really white pilling to see.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. And that's kind of the whole trajectory right now is some of the more based paleocons kind of coming into that fold. So yeah, man. No, man, it's all been we've been waiting for stuff like this for a while, and so it's frustrating when we don't get like immediate success. But now, yeah, now's the time for all these guys like the VDare types who have been doing this for years. This is like their year of Tucker talking about things that they've been talking about, things on the timeline that are kind of commonplace, used to be fringe. So yes, to say it again, I am white pilled. And thank you for reminding me.
Hmm. No, we need to be reminded, honestly, because like you said, I think you're more of a Twitter guy. I'm probably more of a YouTuber guy, just judging by like how,
Probably.
how we spend our time in general. But like being caught up in social media too much is extremely bad for your health, honestly. You get way too caught up in all this drama and all the stuff that like doesn't matter. It kind of reminds me, back in like 2017, 2018, right? With flood sports and like post Charlottesville, when like everything, all my time was focused on these like fights, oh, right at Vincent James is having a fight with Richard Spencer, and we got like all this stuff going on, and he's gonna have a debate on like what was that guy Andy Worski live. We're gonna have this debate about this stuff, and he's gonna curse him out, and we're gonna have a bunch of drama, and his people are gonna attack our people on Twitter. Like here's the thing, that stuff was really fun, and I really enjoyed that era. Unfortunately, Gen Alpha will never experience that, but like here's the thing,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was unproductive. Nothing was accomplished out of like 4 years of that. It was fun, it was epic, it was troll worthy, and those are great. We like that, but like what came out of that was lasting? You know what I mean? Like as the years go by, it's like these things that are lasting, they're actually going to build something. That's what really matters here. That's what winning is. It's not like some spectacle. It's not winning a debate. It's not like gaining 1 million followers on YouTube or something like that. Gaining a place in the movement or something. Because those things come and go. We've had so many people. As you know, I mean, even just within a couple months, right? You've seen people come and go into the movement, people being exposed as like federal agents, all this other stuff. People just turn out to be degenerate or something. These things come and go with time. But the people who are actually genuinely trying to build stuff, like they stay, the cornerstones, and that's the vanguard, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, I think.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, the people taking the hyper online stuff super seriously, yeah, that can kind of make them black pilled, or they try to rationalize how things aren't going very well, or how certain people could, be better allies or something to that effect. But yeah, like we've been saying over and over, all the progress that's been made, Overton Windows stuff, our guys being relevant on the timeline. Yeah, and the fact that it's a lot of younger people kind of having a nice arc right now. It's kind of, it would be one thing if it was all of these, authors like Jeremy Carl and all these people that are, doing some interesting stuff, but they're all clicked up into one faction like Claremont Institute or something like that. I feel like it's people like us, like our content type creators are kind of the ones in these dialectics. So yeah, man, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for 2024. And yeah,
No,
man.
I'm really hyped. I mean, did you see that article? I know I posted earlier in chat where Trump is like, "Listen, we're gonna send in special forces to Mexico and just like kill cartel leaders in my
Really?
second Trump administration." I mean, like, guys, listen, things are looking a lot better this round. That doesn't mean like all of our problems are going to be solved. I don't think that, but listen, Trump is talking about sending like, SEAL Team 6 and like, Delta Force into Mexico. It's like, I don't know. That's kind of optimistic here. Like, it doesn't mean the second Trump administration is going to literally solve all of our problems, but like, pretty much anything is better at this stage than like a guy who shits his pants every day. I mean, I don't know what you want to tell, what you want me to tell you on that front. Like, yeah, I know certain people on the right are gonna, who I'm talking about, are gonna pick a fight about his affiliation with a certain country from the Middle East, right? And like, obviously that is a problem, but like, listen, like we're not going to fix that problem with Trump. Like you just kind of like this is something you have to deal with. Like you're not going to get this like perfect candidate. Like this isn't going to happen. You got to be a lot more realistic here with what we're going to get.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you said, the things are going to be happening intergenerationally. The white pills are going to be happening in different eras, and There's probably going to be peaks and valleys with all of our progress, like in the conservative movement. I should emphasize. But yeah, man, yes, all of that, and before the election, we will see. We will see what we get, and with or without Trump, we'll definitely have content for our timeline and things happening for us to learn from. So yeah, man. Well, hey, I mean, thank you, man. Thank you, American Elitists. It's been a long time. We haven't really talked in general, so it's cool to have you on the show.
No, I know it's been a while. Like, obviously, schedules, and obviously, you live in Pacific time, and I live in Eastern time. That's a big thing. I think that's like 3 or 4 hours. I think I went on a trip one time to Colorado, and that's in mountain time, and I was like, it was extremely hard to adjust to that. It was very, very annoying, and I woke up at like 5, and it felt like I was at 10. It's very weird. I know Pacific time is a lot worse than that.
Well, that's the struggle, man. That's the PST. That is the California situation. Well, yeah, man. Well, look, I'm gonna probably wrap up the show soon. I might go on another tangent, but I wanted to bring you on. You've been wanting to come on, and I'm glad you're here. It's been a while since we've talked. But thank you, American Elitist, man. You're one of the good Zoomers out there that I feel like gets it. When I do some content, I feel like if I'm on your good side, things are going well, and the Zoomers are making some progress. So
I know it's one of the few of us who are not gay, pretty much at this stage in the game. And it's like, listen, we're gonna survive the great genetic bottleneck. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this concept, right? This is more of like certain sectors of the Christian dissident, right, talk about this a lot. And basically, the thesis of the great genetic bottleneck is like, listen, like these progressives aren't going to have kids at all, and if they do, they're going to become trans, and, like kill themselves. So like, also that kind of leaves the fact that obviously it isn't easy with dating and women. You got the whole women question, other things, right? But like, the people who are going to like breed are going to decide the future. Like, essentially, is kind of the thing here. That's kind of the thesis of the great genetic bottleneck, and like you got to be ready for that. Like that's the thing, right? That's something I've been also getting very interested in as well. Like obviously it's fun to talk about girls and all this like other e-drama as well, but like this is kind of like real thing with stakes here, and like are your genes going to pass on to the future or not? And that's kind of the question of the future, right?
Well, there you go, man. Well, hey, I'm gonna pivot. But thank you again, American Elitist. I'm glad you came here. Thank you for all your kind words and your white pills, because it's easy to forget. So thank you, American Elitist. Thank you for the white pills, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.
Love you, man. Well, there you have it. There you have it, folks. American Elitist, the guy who kind of got me on my California aesthetic. I guess we kind of talked about it more in a historical context. But I mean, before that, did I ever really talk about my state? Not really. But anyways, King Kong, what's going on, man? Well, hey, we need all types of Zoomers in this audience. We need the critics. We need everybody in here. We actually need one specific person, but we're probably not going to get him. But that's all right. That's all right. What do we got over here? Gosh. What else did I leave anything out? I mean, it's been so long. Did I leave out any other anecdotes on the timeline? Of course, Nick's back on Twitter. AFPAC next month. VDARE stuff. I guess the VDARE stuff, right? The VDARE stuff, I mean, it's interesting, right? And it might seem very rude, and maybe it is. It's very, because here's the thing. Maybe I'm not being completely articulate with what I'm saying about all this frustration with the millennials, dissident right. I guess we're going to try to do this again if the point isn't clear right now. My criticism with Ameren and VDARE is not the fact that they're not politically on the right direction or saying the right stuff or having an alternative to the GOP. The thing about it is it doesn't seem to be, at least not in its current status, doesn't seem to be an intergenerational project. And the dissident right doesn't seem to be an intergenerational project. They're getting into some Artstein stuff. You got the raw egg nationalist, Man's World, and Dime Square stuff, and podcasts, and all of this stuff that kind of resembles a scene. But a scene has to be in real life, and it has to have figures that are, palatable to all age groups outside of a very fringe subculture. And with American Renaissance to tie that in, VDare. I like these guys politically, of course. We wouldn't really argue about a lot for the most part. But they just kind of do the same thing every year with seemingly the same demographic. Probably the same friends that have come along the way after all these years. And that's cool. That's cool that they have anything at all. So maybe that's where I should hold my tongue and pull the punch. And with everything that's happened with Nick, I mean, really, if you think about it, the utility of something like Amren or VDare, VDare, you can cite that to conservatives. You can cite that to Ann Coulter types or Pedro Gonzalez types because it's a little less vulgar than something like Amren. But, I mean, here's the thing. If you're calculating all this political navigation, that's where you're interested in that kind of a stuff, which I don't think we really are. A lot of our guys don't really talk about all the VDare crew and all the stuff that they're doing and, harken back to their interviews from the bygone era. Our Zoomers don't really seem to care about that lore. It's all kind of stuff that's already happened. But what I didn't finish saying, the utility of something like Amren and VDare is that it'll spawn someone like Nick or somebody like Keith Woods or anybody. And, what do you call it? The metric for if the Groyper Sphere is an intergenerational project and not just one figure doing streams, again, like the dissident right, they got a show, they got a podcast, they have a fringe audience. The litmus test is if you can take this to a mainstream status. And with Amren and VDare, they've done that in political terms with Overton Window, getting on Tucker, things like that becoming said by more moderate figures, relatively moderate figures. And it's like, okay, politically, this is a success. Politically, if you're in this for a political struggle, congrats. And because Nick spoke at Amren in 2018 and effectively kind of created the Groyper Sphere, if you think about it, that is the utility of Amren. They're basically waving the flag, waving the whatever you want to call it, trying to warn everybody, hey, all these things are happening and somebody needs to notice. And by the way, maybe more on that in a minute. The fact that it wasn't just a Sam Dixon or a Richard Spencer or I don't know. The fact that it was someone like Nick, it was a Zoomer who might have been the youngest speaker at AFPAC or at Amren. And the fact that maybe a Freudian slip there, AFPAC is Amren. Art model-wise, making the conference into a nice, elaborate, bougie thing. Again, the lineage with Jared Taylor kind of inherits or is responsible for a lot of the Groyper Sphere, et cetera, political victories. But that notwithstanding, it created Nick, it created kind of this movement. Okay, if that's the argument, then I really don't have a strong case against these old paleocons, these alt-righters. But if people are falling in love with the fact that these are like the old crowd, and even if they're not extending an olive branch, that's okay because, this is only supposed to be a very fringe subculture that doesn't build inroads in politics. Now with VDare, apparently they've had at least possibly some connections with the White House, and obviously people like Ann Coulter. The VDARE thing seems to have more flexibility. And there was this one guy who, I don't know if it's polite for me to say this on the show, but there's one guy apparently who is trying to kind of do what I'm talking about, but might be in it for other reasons as well. There might be some possible gatekeeping. And it kind of puts me in an interesting spot because I want them to kind of do stuff like that and step outside the old paleocon sphere and branch out to the stuff that's popping today. But with AmRen, maybe we might want to make a distinction there. VDARE kind of has a certain thing like that going on, but maybe we don't like it so much for other reasons. With AmRen, you don't really see much of that happening in any capacity. Maybe you see someone like James Kirkpatrick be the young face who's probably going to inherit that network. And then maybe he opens up a broader, younger, hipper audience. Maybe he brings on people like Scott Greer or Darren Beattie or types like that. Maybe we don't want types like that. Maybe there's flexibility to be had with other younger people who are going to be attracted to AmRen 10 years from now. Maybe not. None of that happens. And it kind of just stays as this thing that's been going on for 30 years. And it's responsible for Nick, so that's enough. But again, I want to give them an out. I want to give the credit on record, the responsible for Nick. And so that should be the counter argument if anybody wants to do some infighting with those types. But if we put that aside and just kind of think conceptually, the fact that AmRen just kind of does the same thing, and it's very political, and it's a history lecture seemingly every year, and AFPAC can't turn into that. Or the Zoomer imagination cannot be reduced to that. This very old school 90s era Tom Metzger type activism, where the only metric is raising political consciousness. Political consciousness. There can be consciousness, awareness spreading in other avenues, I think the Zoomers are underdeveloped with their cultural appeal or their aesthetics, or there's a lot of stuff that the Zoomers are prioritizing. A lot of that stuff is not the kind of culturally minded art critic stuff that comes about in these other spheres. And if you had somebody like us represented in those other spheres, you would have an archetype closer to something that would be intergenerational, appealing to a wide audience. Again, the metric for all of these movements. If VDARE and NJP and AmRen are the most based, politically wise, based thing, and that's what Zoomers look at as a kind of standard, then all we're going to get is Carson Wolves and John Doyles and American Moment types. That's what we're going to get. Because that's what we're saying our movement is defined by. It's defined by radical politics, partisan lines, and all this performance. The performance of the Zoomer is not coming from a place of romanticism and romantic flair, comedy. It comes from who can be the best model UN student, who can lay out the talking point that everyone's already done, by the way. This already happened. Spencer made some mention about did I say mention some mention? Mentioned some comment. Mentioned a comment about, when he was talking about whatever, the race realism stuff in 2011. That was old back then. People had already done that. AmRen's been around since the 90s. And so, again, not to say we're not aware of certain things, but conceptually what I'm trying to articulate is that whole pitch is old. We're supposed to move on to other things, stranger subcultures, different strategies, different imaginations, ideas. And you're not going to get it at some of these older conventions. And that's not to say they're not cool or base, or I would never want to show my face in such a posh, bougie place. That's cool. I like that. But again, we're trying to think about like 50 years into, what are we doing? What are we going to do with all this stuff? Are we here to consume and find our right-wing video essayists and do the same thing over and over again? Or do we want to reach out to the youth, get into the culture, organize in real space? And what that means is not waving a flag or a banner, dropping a banner, or even being based, because it's not even about that per se. So I saw some BAP people were going after the alleged wedge between Jared Taylor, the comment from Nick, and it's just like, guys. And then you see James Kirkpatrick put out that tweet saying he backs AF. It's like, guys, just let the adults handle the politics, okay? So anyways, that was kind of the Vidar Castle event just took place. So that's kind of a relevant segue. But yeah, I mean, Nick has a point. Oh, and then that guy, I don't know if it's really my place to get into what may or may not be happening. I don't even know everything all the way through, to be honest. And maybe, I don't know. So maybe I'll just leave it there. But the thing is, like, maybe this is like the one place where you can say this and not sound like you're trying to be edgy or trying to flag wave for Nick. There is something that a lot of people miss with the Amran Vidar crowd. And, maybe Yarvin's almost kind of incidentally correct, rather. I think he has that one essay, like Why I'm Not a White Nationalist or whatever. And I think he cites Amran or Vidar. And I think his angle is some passive thing about, oh, well, yeah, we're all aware of that stuff, but it's not like a big deal. Or, some people go through that and it whatever. People move on to other stuff, or, yeah, people were into that stuff. And then, I don't know. I'm butchering. I don't know exactly what he said, but he kind of did this throwaway comment, but naming them. And maybe he got into it more explicitly, and I'm minimizing it. But regardless, there's something kind of directionally correct about that kind of a take. Like, yes, everybody here is aware of the stuff that gets said in those conferences. But what does that mean for us? And what does it mean that we're not really a huge sample in that audience? It's not really for us. We're supposed to move on and find our group. We're not supposed to be in a room with a bunch of old people. That's effectively, maybe this is a little, I'm reaching here. That's effectively what kind of went on in that YAL or YAF training thing that I went to in Reno. I'm effectively hanging out with boomers because it's a bunch of young people learning about libertarianism, which is old and not relevant and not effective. And I'm supposed to think that this is like a cool party because there's a bunch of young guys in the crowd. And it's like, I don't like Zoomers acting like boomers in a big audience. I don't want to hang out with a bunch of boomers and where I'm the minority. Both of those things cannot be the standard for Zoomers moving forward. If you're going to put on an IRL event, don't be wedded. Again, politically, we agree with people I've mentioned, and these, not that all these guys are like bad actors or whatever, but there's a lot of ways to do an IRL event. Don't let the base conference minimize your imagination. That's what I mean to say. And I'm not trying to, needlessly fight because it's intellectual or it's trying too hard to make a cool point. That's a dynamic that someone like that person who was asking about the Groypers and people in the chat probably don't even know all the lore about all the far right, distinctions. And it's because of stuff like that. A lot of people don't even talk about the generational divide on the right. People don't talk about how BAP and Yarvin, Dime Square, those are not Zoomer audiences. That content is not appealing to a Zoomer crowd. It can, because it's cultural, And that's what they're effective at, appealing to that kind of, that kind of genre. But, it's easy to forget. Those guys are all older than us. And we can do that stuff too, by the way, if we dug into the material. But we don't. What are we spending all our time doing? Stuff like this. Stuff like this. As if this means anything in 2024. As if reading this gets you anything in this year. As if it does anything. Like, what are you going to do with all this stuff? Talk about it with 5 people who already agree? And then what? So, it's just, like, that's the critique. It's not to be like, I don't like Jared Taylor because he's old. It's like, they're old, we're young, we have our thing, they have their thing. And that's not needless, edgy, trying too hard to go viral on the timeline, nothing ever satisfies you. It's not about that. We're supposed to do things similar but separate. But anyways, it is what it is. But it's just like, again, Emily Yukas talked about the statue people, the statue PFP people in 2024, mind you. Folks, we can't do that. We can't do it. And by the way, if we don't have a strong presence on the timeline, because for the longest time, we didn't have a presence in terms of influence back in 2018. The Babsphere is going to take smart people if we don't have leverage in the discourse. If all we have is radical politics and video essay tier stuff and all the stuff that millennials did 5 years ago that we're kind of getting up on because we're trying to be commentators and pundits. I don't want to do that, because that's not us. Who are we? That's not us. Who got into this from 4chan, from Can't Stump the Trump, from Newgrounds.com, because we got like effectively a radio show on Twitter. People are, it's becoming like common to even tune into something like that. Everything, all the Zoomers are like opening up mental avenues, is what I'm saying. And if we're funnier, which we are, and if we're smarter, which we can be, then we don't ever have to worry about BAP and millennials and gatekeeping, because we should attract a certain archetype that can last for a long time. And we won't need Jared Taylor and Brimalo, but, for the time being, that's about the only IRL stuff that happens. Halfpack, Amran. But why? Is that like a hard thing to do, to mobilize in real space? This big movement, by the way. And we brag about the numbers and the reach and how cooler we are. We're the coolest people on the timeline. So let's do something. Let's go throw a party. Let's have fun. And let's take this dissident right. Yeah, whatever. That's like this big nerd book club. I'm a Zoomer. And I just want to have fun and hang out with my friends, which are in California and in New York and wherever. Be nationwide. What the Wignats would say about occupy space. That means like fraternity. Occupy space doesn't mean, that old stuff. It means white boy summer. Saturdays are for the boys, that kind of stuff. But anyways, too much. I don't know. Does that even Did we already say that like 20 minutes ago? Where's my... Is that Vice City Hunter? There he is. Vice City Hunter. Yarva didn't like how Amran crowd was had aspersions on his ethno-religious group. Okay, well, of course, that's the angle, right? Come back to the server. What is that? Oh, is this the... People, it seems like people are reacting to the face reveal for me. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry if I wasn't what you expected. What is that group? Oh, is that the one I'm already in? You're talking about Dalton. Yo, we got Boomer Mike in chat. Mike, hey man, what's going on? Hey, gosh, I just like bashed Amran the one time Mike is in here. I'm sorry about that. Whoops. Amran laid the groundwork for the next gen. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Again, and I conceded that. I conceded basically inspired Nick and the Groiper, so they basically can say that they did their stuff. But anyways, if you're still here, Mike, yeah. No, we agree. We agree. I wouldn't pick a fight with Jared Taylor at his own conference. You know, I'm not trying to be some big wig, you know, loudmouth. I'm just trying to, you know, there's other things happening. Maybe people don't think about them. And also, it just kind of helps frame what we've been up on for so long. So I'm a dreamer. I want the Zoomers to be something, to be abstract. So I'm just very bitter about all this political networking. Been doing that for too long. And I just want us to, the after party, man, the after party. But anyways, that can look like a bunch of things. It can look like infiltrating your local art scene and just, you know, being more charismatic than all these theater kids. It can look like putting together a zine like Man's World, but is not all paused up or isn't just pandering to a millennial audience. That's the other thing. We just need media pandered to us. And for the most part, we got Cozy, and it's a multifaceted site. It's all over the place. It's like it's a non-censored Twitch. So there you go. I'm not saying we have nothing, but you know, Twitter is so decentralized. There's so much you can do, and yet we kind of stay in one little faction. We can reach over here and grab this person to get them on to our thing, and so on and so on. That's all I mean to say. The zines, man, the zines. The zines. Anyways. I don't know. Have I been talking for too long? Have I been talking for way too long? Talking about too many things that have already been said? Maybe. Maybe. It's just, I don't know if I'm coming across very well. I feel like I'm going crazy because I don't know what people want and where people are at exactly. But I just notice things. I notice things. What's going on here? Oh, yo. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to go for. What else, man? What else has been going on? You're bored? Yeah, that really describes everything. It's a nihilistic climate we're in. And people like me, if they had concerts and hippie counterculture and social capital, then I wouldn't have to do a show talking about the dissident right, whatever that means anymore. But I'm on here talking to myself, doing a diary entry on the show, shilling e-girls, talking about weird art criticism events or whatever you call them. Twitter, I have to say Twitter events because I don't know what else to refer to them as. And it's all so strange because I'm living in the 21st century when I want to live in the 70s, 90s. So, Angry Young Man. What's the Billy Joel song? Angry Young Man. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that. The only boomers allowed on the Zoomer conference shall be... Oh, wow. My goodness. Man, oh man. Well, anyways. Dave is a cool boomer. Perhaps. Anyways, that's the show. Was that a cool show? Again, I feel like I'm going crazy. Is that a cool show? You know, I didn't even try the Discord. Evelyn is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the Evelyn Nietzsche stuff. We're done. We get it. Throwing the Evelyn book was cool. Hey, Chaos. What's going on, man? We're done with Ebola. We get it. Hold on. Where is this guy? Oh, I could put my link in here. Yo. You guys want to get some communists in here? All right, let me start talking so that they can join. Oh, let me give them the link too. How do I give them the link? Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. Ugh. Well, can I copy it over here? Dude, boomer moment. Let me just copy it. Oh, I can pull up the Discord right here. Never mind. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're good. So anyways, we got to get back into our monologue. So anyways, I don't know if I even completed the Nikki, the Hegelian communist, e-girl broad, whatever. So because we're affiliated with NHB, we're looking for guests. And I think once Nick got back and all the Groyper stuff came to a head, people started to notice. But I think they started to notice that there were younger people that could be brought on. And so I guess it's kind of like a sociology experiment. It's a case study. And so besides yesterday, I wasn't really aware of Nikki the Hegelian. As far as, unless I'm missing something, maybe she went viral once upon a time. But I was doing some research on her, some professional, above board, pragmatic, networking type research on Nikki. And apparently she's all into Zizek, she's all into Hegel, and she does have this left perspective. She's not liberal, or at least doesn't present herself as such. But she did basically say she was a communist and she was doing all of this kind of communist contra Trotsky. She's not with the Internationalists. They are doing it wrong. They're gatekeeping Marxism. Marx wanted something like a non-egalitarian, non-democratic Marxism. Maybe Spangler talks about this in Prussianism and Socialism. I was in a space with Bookcat and he said that now that I say that, I don't know what he said. I remember on Wikipedia, it was said that it was like trying to divorce English Marxism, socialism from English, and I guess appropriate it into the Prussian context. Again, all this political theory is not really my strong suit. Bookcat seemed to allude that it was about something else. Because in that book he names them, and something else. It seemed like there was something else about his interpretation of socialism that didn't seem to gel well with other conventional Marxists. Again, haven't read these books, not a scholar, just kind of vaguely curious about the whole thing. But anyways, if I could be fair to her, she was very polite. That was her ideology. She was giving me the pitch. And like I said earlier, I would much rather talk with people like that than a lot of these wignats who, I was in a space yesterday. I didn't know it was even him. That guy that runs the Handsome something, he's the like NJP tier activist wignat who doesn't believe in a political solution, allegedly. And he's basically just like an IE guy who didn't take the lessons from 2017. So he does all this tough guy talk, and all these wignats rally around him. And somebody like people in this communist sphere I was in on Twitch and Discord. I'm in their Discord right now, so maybe they're going to tune in. If you're in chat, let me know. Let me know that you're here, because I'm trying to give you guys some PR. And if you guys want to come on, we're wrapping up our show here. And I'd like to give some credit, because yesterday was made interesting because of this streamer who I didn't know did stuff like this. And you know what's very funny? I don't know if it's my place to say, there was a very prominent YouTuber who was backstage at this Groyper debate case study stream. And so I was giving him props because I've been checking out his videos. And of all the things I get wrapped into on Discord, because I don't even go on there regularly, this guy's in there. So I don't know how Nikki got this guy. I don't even know if he has a Twitter. I'm going to need to refer to the communist Discorders for a follow-up maybe. But anyways, what I mean to say is, yes, they're communists. Yes, I basically said that they were LARPing and that this stuff, the class obsession stuff, is just not really my bag, baby. But look, these guys are fun to talk to, and they're not like calling me a Nazi. They're not being so rough around the edges and trying to cancel people. That's really all I ask for as the bare minimum. Don't try to like ruin people like me and people my age group who are checking out stuff on the internet out of genuine curiosity. Let's just talk and have a free market of ideas. Am I right, fellas? But unironically, she was very nice, cordial. And you know what's funny? She kind of talks like a lot of, I guess, people I went to high school with. She seems to have that kind of, I don't know how old she is. I don't want to like get too personal, but I don't know. Talking to her kind of took me back to, I don't know. There's a certain archetype. So speaking of archetypes, it's not really, I don't know. What do you even call it? It's not really Valley Girl. It's like this Hispanic appropriation of that laid back personality. And I'm not saying this as like a partisan rib. I mean, like, she talks like somebody on the West Coast and somebody that I probably went to high school with. And, all of the political jargon and the philosophy, that kind of throws off the scent. But like the head turning and the dialect, that's all very familiar as a Californian. That's those are people in my neck of the woods. So maybe that's why it was appealing to me so well. Maybe it was like one of my alumni I was talking to, who just so happened to get wrapped up in all these strange radical ideas. Maybe people I went to high school with are also on a similar trajectory. I wouldn't know. But anyways, it was just nice to talk to somebody outside of our sphere. That's what I crave for. And these guys were pretty polite. And, there was the hosts and the co-host, and then there was kind of some conventional stuff happening in the chat, all this. Yeah, we mimic the way he talks. It's mimesis, that's just kind of how it goes. I've been watching him for like 5 years. Of course, that's going to come out. And they're asking me questions that he has had to address. Like you're asking me to represent a certain side as a Zoomer with that ideology, with these talking points. And it's like, yeah, I kind of sound like the guy that I've been watching for a long time. But But yeah, they are kind of right. The lefties don't really do that. Maybe the right is more aesthetic. Maybe the right is more persuasive with that kind of, identity adoption. Whereas the left is, I know that's kind of a quaint, or that's kind of like a conventional conservative talking point, but the decline of art maybe is an inherently fascist statement. Maybe they're right. But anyways, if anybody was in the Discord who wanted to talk, since I'm wrapping up the show, and that was such a big event last night, I guess I'd return the favor, if I may. But they're probably not going to come in here. This isn't really a big stream. But I'm in their Discord. I was encouraged to stay there, so just thought I'd check everybody out. Doesn't believe in a political solution, takes part in a political movement. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I wonder if they even know about that kind of stuff. The idea that we would clash with those types, I don't know, maybe. We got nobody. It's over. We're not cool enough for the communists. Man, that's too bad. Well, it was worth a try. Can I see who's like online? Maybe if I go over here. Looks like there's some people online. All right. Well, we tried. Where are these guys all at? Working for the capitalist class? Come on now. Remember when Sargon was the farthest right you could be in 2015? How about that? Yeah, man. You're my go-to for young culture, dissident right stuff, but I'm increasingly concerned future politics will be driven increasingly by economic woes. Not sure there's a question there, but any thoughts? Sure. Well, that's kind of something that somebody said in chat, I think, during my collaboration with the communists. They said something to the effect of like, what are the Groypers or the Zoomers or all these right-wingers? What are they going to do about the fact that housing is not affordable? I don't have an answer for that. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, like Spencer basically tried to adopt the Bernie platform. And he said that taking things from the left makes the far right powerful. He alluded to that. And so who's going to be the guy to make that obvious? I don't know. It doesn't sound great coming from him, but to some. But maybe that's kind of the dilemma we're at. The conservatives don't want to adopt the left, seemingly left-wing economic stuff, like Tucker Carlson. And maybe some of the far-right people understand the fact that you don't have to worry about being wedded to Reaganism, neoliberalism. I don't know. But it is funny. The other thing that was kind of funny when I was on that stream, again, like from my perspective, it's very obvious the most dangerous ideological foe to the establishment is like a right-wing revolutionary vanguard. And they were talking about like the communists are the ones that can like overthrow the system. So of course they de facto would be the most feared opposition. And it's like, but I mean, most people are egalitarian, or maybe what some people say about race communism. I mean, most people are on the left in some capacity. Maybe you don't want to claim them, or you don't want to say that they are the true Leninists or the true Marxists. But the ones that are getting like hard censored, hard banned is, the right. And again, if you're thinking about punk rock in an exclusively anarchist perspective, and maybe it is, maybe the punk rock, maybe they're right about that, and I'm trying to impose my ideology onto the art, which is what we criticize the left for. It does seem like counterculture doesn't have to be left or right. It does seem to be just a youth movement, first and foremost. And so the right wing can be revolutionary, can be all of that stuff. And maybe the Baathism and all of that. Nasir in Egypt. Are you guys red pilled on that stuff? I mean, do the people quantify that as like Arabs getting what we understand about where revolutions come from, or how to galvanize the youth? Or is it just Arab nationalism, which isn't really concerned with aesthetics and doesn't have to be exclusively a youth movement? I'm not really woke on all that Middle East geopolitics. Is anybody in here? But anyways, maybe that's a very random thing to throw in at the end there. What are you guys thinking? Arab nationalism is pretty old. It really took off with Nasir. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that lore. Maybe I'd have to ask Thomas. But anyways, maybe there's just some other examples I could bring up to a future communist or someone who's like, that's the Paul Joseph Watson line about conservatism is the new punk rock. Like, I should equally cringe the way that they do when conservatives say that stuff, because the conservatives are still on the bandwagon. They're still part of the controlled opposition. So yes, when they say their brand of conservatarian politics is punk rock, obviously not really, because it's not revolutionary. It's just conservative. It's just conventional right wing. What I'm talking about is the revolutionary side of the right wing, which is distinct from maybe some conventional Edmund Burke types, Roger Scruton types, maybe. I don't know. He talked about aesthetics, so maybe that's a wrong person to cite. But anyways, I'm running out of content. Folks. What should I do? Yeah, the communists didn't pull up. Well, there you go. We can wrap up, though. Anything else, folks? All right. Well, anyways, that's the show. That's the show. I'm not well studied on Middle East politics, but I suspect it's complicated and layered like in the West, probably. Yeah, probably. I also don't want to be the conservative that has a reactionary response to all these things that might be in my favor to support. But anyways, hey, Patriot Jam. Let me show the Patriot Jam again. If anybody's in the Tennessee area, we can do stuff like that. We can do all kinds of stuff if you guys are interested. Did I miss anybody? Best case scenario, an 80-year-old man wins and pushes in a direction that benefits you more than your neighbor. Did I miss anybody, by the way? Let's not try to rehabilitate the hippies. They were, degenerates, and that's all the reason you need to dislike them. Yeah, maybe I need to be more clear on that. The beatniks, Kerouac was kind of seemingly on a different angle than a lot of these other types. And yeah, I don't want to be full hippie, like egalitarian type. Oh, dude, I'm sorry about this. I missed this. American elitist thoughts. I think you mentioned this. Thoughts on the article about Trump wanting to send in. Okay, sorry about that. Did I miss anybody? Oh, you're sorry. You're old millennial, and I gotta wake up early for work, dude. Don't get too wrapped up in the philosophy. You can have some fun, and you'll survive. Well, hey, thank you, thank you. And apparently I love new metal. Well, there you go. Just tell. Oh man. Well, anyways, that's the show. And I don't really. I don't know if I missed out on much. I mean, in terms of content since the last YouTube channel. Yeah, man. The Twitter Spaces. If you guys aren't on Twitter, the Twitter Spaces have been popping off. Might be collaborating with Dudley Newright, who I gotta reach out to tonight. Maybe he's too busy. Might be doing some Substack type stuff in the Twitter sphere. So maybe check that out. I'm working on this article about postmodern e-girls. We'll see what happens with that. I've reached out to the person that I'm collaborating with. We'll see what that becomes. Beyond that, we'll see. We will see. Trying to think if there's anything I would want to talk about before going offline. I don't know, man. Hunger is a great person for the Middle East. Okay, maybe that's the guy. Well, thank you, American Elitist. Beyond that, we extended the invites. We tried. I don't know. Did anybody in here try to DM her? That would be funny if that actually happened. I wanted content. And I knew that was going to be interesting. If you did that, say it in chat before I log off. Say it in chat if you did. If you didn't, don't do it right now. I'm just curious if anybody did it, because I know that's asking a lot. And it's a strange thing to ask for. But anyways. That's pretty much most of the content that's been happening. Dime Square moving out west. Twitter Spaces going off. Everybody in here who wants to know what's going on with me or this type of content, go on Twitter. We're also streaming on Twitter. And yeah, man, I like to merge audiences, branch out to other factions. Obviously, people here know where I'm coming from, know which side I favor. But, not everybody else has to know that. So, hey, man. Fun times, fun times. And if nobody else has any questions, we can log off. The Patriot Jam link is there. It's right here. Patriot Jam, July 27th in Tennessee, if anybody's nearby. So, hey, man, if you guys are interested. And thank all you guys, man. Oh, yeah, the thank yous. So, well, hey, man, I can check their Discord one last time. And thank you guys for hanging out. I know it's been a little while. And this was all over the place, so I know it's asking a lot to tune into this show. Everybody else does something much more simpler and condensed. We try to do too much all at once. So thank you again. Thank you again. The audience, which is American Elitist, Dereverent, Record Deepness, Chaos, Lindy, and let me go up here at the top. Spartan, Groiper. What's the YouTube? Oh, Spartan. You're probably not here anymore. I don't remember. Just Jimmy's, of course. Truth, Paul, Jacob, The Thread. And what is this? Akisoft? Something like that. Harvey man, thank you. Harvey. Well, I appreciate all you guys. All you guys. I appreciate you guys. I know it's a strange show and we're doing a lot of strange things, but on Twitter, if you guys want to check out what's been going on with the Zoomers and lore, check us out over there. Check out the lore. Good night. Thanks for the show, Ace. Well, thank you, Chaos. All right, guys. I don't know when I'll be back. I'll be on Twitter. Ace Rider CA. Ace Rider CA on Twitter. Ace Rider CA. And I don't know. We'll have to see. But probably won't be a long gap like what happened. If anybody's graduating, congrats. If you guys are Zoomers, maybe some of the stuff I said was a little out of left field, but I'm glad people are interested on some level to tune in at all. And maybe it'll make, it'll all be put into context once we get some writing stuff out there or some IRL stuff happening. So, yeah. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.